Hey guys, here's another daily process for you on Cinema 4D and Octane Render. Let's get started. So for this one, we're just going to load a plane for now, and we're going to throw a specular material on there. Okay, now that we got that, we're going to want to add a few of these little strips, which we're going to make into diffuse materials. What we did in the previous videos, where it's basically just one of these. You go in here, go into emission, and hit black body emission. So we're gonna do that on these, and we want to make them pretty much tiny little strips. Yeah, I guess that's cool for now. Okay. So now that we got that, let's go to the top view. We're going to want to put this one over here. Go ahead and make that the size of the plane. You're going to want to put one, I'm just going to do one every block for now and then see how it looks. And if we need to, then we'll put more of these strips in between. But for now, let's just do on every line here. Okay. I actually want to put these under, and you'll see why right now. I actually want to make this a little bigger. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and add an Octane Daylight. Click on the tag, turn the power all the way down. Go ahead and drag your diffuse material with the emission onto every cube. You can actually just click the one that's already here, hold control, and then just drag and drop them like that. Holding control the whole time. You don't have to keep pressing it every time. Pretty neat. Alright, so we got that so far. Nothing too crazy, right? But check this out. We're gonna mess with our specular material a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make this really, as you guys can probably tell from my previous videos, I really like working with like liquid or stuff that looks like liquid. So for that, we're kind of going to do the same approach, but we're going to see how far we can push it. So on the bump map, on the bump layer there, we're going to click this. Maybe like that, and then let's go to our index, mess with that. Alright, and now let's go ahead and select our plane. We're going to add a displacer to it. When you click displacer, you're going to want to go into shading. I'll kind of go a little bit into the displacer. It's something I use quite frequently in a lot of different stuff. I think it's a really powerful tool in Cinema 4D. You can do a lot of really cool looking stuff with it. Go ahead and change this to lines so you can see what you're working with here. Actually, I think, yeah, cool. So as you can see right here, when you click on plane in the width segments and height segments, there's 20. So 20 cubes by 20 cubes. If you were to go to your displacer and under shading, whenever you want to animate something like a plane or any kind of model or anything, you want to put a displacer on it, go to shading, right here where it says shader, click on the little arrow and hit noise. As you can see, it already kind of displaced a little bit. If you go back to object, you can turn up the height. I think I briefly explained this in a previous video, but I'll go ahead and kind of break it down again. So if you turn that up, you see how everything is distorted, obviously, but it's very pointy. There's no nice curvature to it. It just kind of looks, I guess if this is the look you were going for, it might look cool, but for what I'm going for, what I like to do is just go back to the plane, and instead of 20 segments, bump it up to like 100. Now it's gonna look really crazy, But what you got to do is go back to Displacer, go back to Shading, and on the noise, go ahead and click that. And right here on Global Scale, by default, it's at 100%. You're going to want to turn that up, and you'll see what's going to happen. It starts to kind of like spread out everything, so it's not so crazy looking. I think that's pretty cool right there. If you guys hear some stuff in the background, it's my family. I got a lot of people here right now. We're Mexican, so you already know that, you know, there's some crazy stuff going on. A lot of drinking. Okay, so anyways, we got that. Okay. One important thing to note is, as you can see when it renders, you see the distortion in these other lines right here, but you see like little kind of like noise right here. So for this particular look that I'm going for, there's a little trick to this. Go ahead and click your Octane settings, and well, first of all, this has to be on, actually no, this can stay on direct lighting. And what you want to do is bring down your specular depth. Put it to just 2. And then what we also got to do is some of our LED strips right here are kind of poking up, so we have to make those a little smaller or bring them down. Yeah, that's probably better. Okay. So you hit play, nothing happens, right? What you want to do is go back to your Displacer, click on the Shading tab, hit that, and you want to go down to where it says Animation Speed. Try like 1, and then hit play. Voila. And the cool thing about this method, and why I like doing it a lot, is because not only does it look cool, but it also doesn't take long to render at all. Because of its kind of like 2D nature, you know, it's not rendering like a full 3D image. It's made in 3D, but it looks 2D. So it's really cool to have this kind of technique. That way you can render out, you know, something cool like this and not that much time. If you want to make this loop, remember, just go right here to loop period. And the way you calculate it is, right here we have 90 frames. We're going to be running this at 30 frames per second. So that's going to be 3 seconds. So go ahead and type in 3 right there. Now when you play it, seamless. Okay. So this looks pretty cool, but I really want to push it and see how crazy we can get with this. So on the plane, instead of 100, I think I'm going to do 200, just to give it some real nice fluid definition. Let's see, let's mess with this bump map a little bit, because I think it's kind of throwing it off. Yeah, see, if we turn it down a lot, it kind of starts showing just really like ugly lines, and it just looks kind of blocky. So we want to go ahead and turn up the global scale until it starts looking smooth. I think that's pretty good right there. Okay, so once you turn that up, as you can see, now it looks a lot smoother, and that's really the look I'm going for. Yeah, I thought one of these was higher than the other. That's why you always want to double check everything you do. Get in the habit of hitting if your mouse has a scroll wheel, go ahead and just click that and it'll take you to this. I think this is really handy to kind of move this in place. Alright, cool. So now that's lined up with these. Next step, well, it's lined up, and now we want to bring those below it. And to be honest, this kind of looks pretty dope too. We could probably hide these. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll try both methods. And I think the camera angle has a lot to do with how it's gonna look when you render it. Because pretty much what I don't want to see is just a straight line not being distorted like that. I want everything to be moving, so that's why I'm trying to just find the right setup so that nothing is static. This actually looks pretty good. I just gotta find like a dope camera angle. Maybe like an on top camera. It's actually pretty dope, not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up in portrait mode for Instagram. I think that's the best way to export your renders. With, oh shit, what the fuck did I do? Wow. What the fuck did I just do? Okay, I don't know what just happened, but if that ever happens, you could just press S and it'll take you right back to your scene. Alright, so the easiest way to do this, we'll just go ahead and add an Octane camera. Go ahead and click that. Enable the camera, so go ahead and enable the camera. Go ahead and load an Octane camera, enable it. And if you click on it, go to the coordinates. Here you could start messing with some of the settings here. So we're going to want it to face down, so that's 90 degrees. Then we gotta mess with our position here. Another cool little trick I seen on one of Beeple's videos, what he does is, instead of it being 1080 by 1350, he will do 400 to 500. It's the same ratio, but the thing about doing that is if you go ahead and hit this lock right here, it actually shows you the entire render right there in that little screen. So it's kind of useful when you're doing what I'm doing, and it's, you know, kind of trying to locate when you're doing what I'm doing and just trying to find the right frame. So shout out to Beeple for that. We want to go back to our coordinates though. Zoom in. Cool, so that's gonna be our shot right there. And I think now what I want to do is, I want to sort of animate these right here as well. So the next thing I want to do is put a displacer on these actual LED bars down here. I don't know why I call them LED bars. I mean, these bars with emissive light, I guess. They just remind me of LED bars. So to do that, we'll just go ahead and load a displacer. I'm gonna test it on this middle one first and see how it looks, and then we'll go from there. So, and we'll more or less use the same settings. Go ahead and go to the shading, load up a noise, and you'll see this kind of start to deform too. But I want it to deform in a certain way. Instead of doing it like this, I kind of want it to shrink and go back, shrink and go back. But I don't know, we'll see. Which reminds me, go ahead and click this, and on this segments, you're gonna want to turn that up. Yeah. So it's distorting a little bit, but I want to add more. I want to add more segments here. There we go. Let's see how it looks from the camera. Okay, cool. I was just trying to tell the difference, if there really is a difference. There is, it's very slight, but it makes it look more fluid. So I'm just going to leave it on and do the same thing to these other ones. But remember, you have to turn up the segments as well on these. And you could, they don't all have to be the same either. I mean, you can change them to whatever you want. Maybe even this one right here, maybe make it go slower. Or maybe faster, since they're all already kind of the same speed. So turn up the speed, maybe double. Dope. Maybe we'll do just one more. Doesn't have to be all of them. Dope. All right, right on. Looks pretty cool. I think I'm gonna extend this though to like maybe 300 frames. And just loop that 10-second clip. So I gotta go in here and change the loop period from 3 to 10. Otherwise it's not gonna loop at all. Let's check it just to make sure. Okay, cool. Looks good to me. I didn't catch that first time. I was distracted by something else. Sorry. Alrighty. So that looks good. I mean, technically we could just render it out like this. I think it looks cool enough so that it doesn't need anything else, but let's try to add, trying to think. Alright guys, so what I want to do is start it at 405 on the global scale. For some reason right now, when I record my keyframes, you usually see a little blue box on each part that you keyframe it on. For some reason right now it's not doing it, so just a heads up, if anyone can figure out why that is happening or how to fix that, I would greatly appreciate it. But for now, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and see what happens. So we're starting our first frame. Go ahead and hit global scale. Maybe about 100. Then we're going to bring this like that. Go ahead and hit it again. Let's go to like 180. Bring this way down. Maybe like right there. Hit it again. And then right here we'll start kind of going back towards where we were. Let's actually go really high up. Keyframe that, and then when we go back to 300, let's bring it down to 405. So it should loop perfectly. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. All right, cool. Looks pretty sweet. If you really want to take it to the next level, I think a cool thing to do would be grab all of these little strips here. Should be all these, I guess. Yep. And rotate them. Yeah, so same thing, start at the first frame, go ahead and hit this right here. You see now it shows that little box. It's weird. For some reason on the displacer it wasn't showing it, but you kind of get what I mean now. So first one, okay, 0 degrees. For this one, I think I'm gonna go, if it's the whole thing's 300 frames, I'm gonna go halfway. Actually, instead, I'll go all the way to the end and do it to 360. That way it'll do a complete turn. Let's see. Oh wait, I didn't even record it. Fuck. Yeah, when you go to the very end, bring this up to 360. And make sure you hit that button to keyframe it. Okay. Perfect. I'll show you another little trick about this right now. Alright, let's see how it looks on top. Yeah, that looks pretty dope. I'm not sure if I want to add color to it or just kind of leave it how it is, but I guess we'll just leave it how it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it for your Octane settings. I think 128 is pretty good, even if you export it at by 1080 by 1350. I think 128 samples is good enough, but it's totally up to you. I personally would probably do double that, so 256, just so it's really clean around, you know, all the edges, but that's really up to you. And so yeah, guys, I might put some color on this, I might not, but you guys can always do that if you'd like. If you did want to put color on these strips, obviously you would just open up your group here, go to the corresponding strip, and on this Octane diffuse, well actually in this case, you would need to either duplicate this one or just delete all of them and then start over and put in each individual color into here. If it was me, I would just create another diffuse material. If the middle one's gonna be the one I'm gonna focus on, I would delete that. I'll Open this up, go to emission, black body, and you're gonna want to go to texture, color, click that. Let's try like a green. Pretty dope. A little bright, I think. We could probably turn it down some. Yeah, actually looks a lot better. Totally up to you though. I kind of like the black and white, but that's totally up to you. So thanks again for checking out this video, guys, and see you in the next one. Peace.